So with music, I think what it means to be in a rock band and be Christian is basically, well, that's what we're doing. We're undoing ruin. We're being real. We're going out and just saying, look, like, whatever. If you're not Christian, it's whatever. I don't ultimately care. I'm a good dude, but I can't pretend to you that I'm going to lose sleep. And this is wrong, but I can't pretend to somebody I'm going to lose sleep over the fact that they don't like my God. That's false. Because I'm not. Because ultimately, I don't mind that you're not Christian. If you don't want to be Christian, that's totally fine. And as soon as I say that to people, and we exude that sort of like mentality, that's when people drop their guard, and that's when people leave the conversation saying, wow, those dudes are, yeah, maybe God isn't so bad. Maybe I don't need to own the highlighter, but I can, at least say in my next conversation, when people get drunk at a bar and they start philosophizing, I can say, no, actually, dude, Christians aren't so bad. I think there's a lot of good Christians out there, and slowly but surely, like a forest fire, I think that that's contagious. And it's about practicing what you preach, except not preaching while you're practicing. So yeah, and I can be, some of the examples I feel like in my band, like, if we were just a Christian band and we remained on the Christian label, and the Christian label is a big label, a notable label, the secular world respects the label, and that's great. But if we would not be, if we hadn't been thrown out into the real world of rock and roll, where it's like playing these radio shows with bands who are just like, who, the what? The who? Oh, the redhead guy? Yeah, right on. Then I don't think I would be in a position to like talk to people who aren't Christian. It's really fortunate that I have to kind of deal with the brunt of just this like, oh, they're Christian, why are they here? Oh man, really? I hear that a lot, like, oh, Christian band, and then they're like, oh, he's behind me, isn't he? Like that kind of thing. I get that a lot, but I'm happy to say that we are put in those situations so that we can undo ruin, and you don't have to be in a band to undo ruin. I mean, everybody, you work, you go to work, you work your jobs, you go to school, you interact. Maybe you're a recently new Christian, or you've renewed your faith or become, encouraged again lately, like your old friends that aren't Christian will notice a change in you, but it's not about, because I said earlier, we all sin, and that's just fact, even though it's not a situation, it's acknowledging that everybody sins isn't an excuse to kind of shrug your shoulders and be like, well, we're all human. It is an opportunity in a way that you can kind of just level with your fellow man. That's important, So just being honest and understanding a real world and a real life application of just Jesus. Everybody needs a dose, whether they know it or not. The guy on the street who gets a sandwich, or the kid at the show who's shivering out front because his mom didn't pick him up and he gets a hoodie, those kids don't know that hoodie came with Jesus on it. There were Jesus cooties on it, and he just doesn't know it, but he gets it, and really that's what we're all about. So I guess at the end of the day, to sum up this point, is that we're real by acting real, by not judging, you should not have to say Jesus for people to understand that you're about Jesus, and that's the bottom freaking line, and you do get lost in translation because the Christian world rejects us. I think a lot of the times, like, if they know enough about my band, they start to doubt if my band is quote unquote really Christian, because, like I said, we get thrown into the real world of radio where it's like, members of my favorite rock and roll story ever, probably, and it's not even that good of a story, so calm down. But it's like seeing members of that band Jet at like 10 in the morning with like whiskey, just like pissed drunk. And I remember like looking at them like, this is amazing. What are these dudes doing? I think it was like 8 in the morning, and they were looking for the pisser. And so they needed to go to the bathroom. And and they were just as rock and roll as it gets. I was jealous because I didn't have any whiskey. You know what I mean? but the dudes really were like the ultimate, like, and I just remember thinking like, man, well, I'll never be that. That's like, you know, I gotta, if people really want real rock and roll with my band, like, they just gotta, you know, they're not gonna get the drunk at 8 in the morning looking for the bathroom cursing band. They're just gonna have to get the dudes who are up at 8 in the morning and pissed off about it because they should be sleeping. But I really did realize, like, at that day, that the gap between what my band will never be and being discriminated on that side because you guys aren't the rock and roll, like, you're not living it, dude. Where's your middle finger and your denim jacket, you know, like, but also, like, stuck in the middle of the Christian community going, well, where's your faux hawk and your Bible? Like, you know, like, if you're a Christian in a band and you don't have a faux hawk, dude, you're in trouble, you know what I mean? If you play, like, you know, Christ Fest 2008, and I'm not trying to make fun of that. We do a lot of those, you know what I mean? Like, you know, we do play a lot of those shows, and they're awesome. I'm really thankful for those shows, and it's great. But I'm not trying to be diplomatic. They really are good. But when you show up, like, that you haven't bathed and you're, you know, they give you a liaison of a kid that's like, I'll show him around, you know, and he's 16 and, you know, homeschooled and very, very conservative and sheltered and Christian, and comes on your bus or your van or wherever you are at the time, and there's like beer bottles from the night before, and he's just looking at you like you're straight up Satan, you know, and he's just like, and dudes are like, you know, walking around in their underwear and just like, oh, you know, like, Applebee's, you know, 2 for $1, like, you know, just like, and we scared the crap out of that kid, and I felt really bad, but the reality is, like, you know, like, I mean, we're just real about it, dude. Like, having a beer, even if it's at Christ Fest 2008, isn't, it just, I'm sorry, I'm not going to go to hell. We're not going to hell. My band is not evil because we are of age and like the occasional 2 for $1 at Applebee's, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that big a deal. But this kid, I mean, he was gone. He was there. He was supposed to stay with us the whole day and drive a golf cart in case we needed whatever. And the kid just like, I remember him saying to somebody in our band, "Are you guys drinking?" And somebody was like, yeah, a little bit. I mean, they give us beer, right? He's like, no, that's not from us. And he goes, maybe it's from last night. And he goes, but it's early. You know, when you're on tour, in our defense, there is no time. Time is irrelevant. But the dude in my band, he was a crew member. He was like, yeah, but I'm only drinking right now because I have a headache from last night, from drinking last night. Like, that was going to, like, and the kid just looked at him like, you know, and then the kid was gone, and then we were that band, like, you know, just exiled, you know what I mean? And our merch guy, who is, you know, he's very tattooed, he's covered and smokes cigarettes, and he's from Queens, so he's really brash. But Christian nonetheless, and has a heart for Jesus, got judged the whole day, and it was a real big eye-opener for us, and from stage we just kind of let him have it, you know, like, almost kind of, and another thing, but not even with, like, vengeance or anything, just in being like, look, if you guys want to talk and you want to hang out and you want to be as legit as you can be, get some barbecue from the vendors and come by our merch booth and hang and bring your parents. You know, it was like one of those things. And by the end of the day, even though we were the band that showed up that had open beer bottles, and I use that, I'm not trying to paint a picture like we're these booze hounds, because we're not, but the reality is, like, we definitely got judged that day. And our merch guy was literally, quote, going to hell because he had cigarettes and tattoos and didn't buy a Virginity Rocks t-shirt that they were selling. We literally turned it around by being real.